My name is Delaina Lane. I am doing an individual performance. I am playing the mother of Emmett Till, and so I present to you the death of Emmett Till. He died so equal rights could live. And action. On August 28th, 1955, my son Emmett Louis Till was murdered. His death sparked the civil rights movement and was a catalyst within the African American community. Late in the midnight hour, I lay sound asleep when I received a phone call that Emmett is missing. All day I waited, every moment, every hour, wondering if my boy is still alive. From dawn till dusk, I waited. The memories roam my mind, and I often wonder, is this my fault? Because I'm the one who sent him down to the south in the small town of Money, Mississippi. I thought he was ready. I taught him so much about the different conditions and circumstances in the South. Emmett was born July 25th, 1941, but he did not come easy. Emmett born with a speech impediment, and in the great city of Chicago. He was born in a time that stressed the harsh conditions of society, racist ideologies, Jim Crow laws, but most of all, he was born in the heart and soul of the lynching era. Thousands of African Americans were lynched, lives lost. They had black blood in the palms of their hands, and absolutely nothing is being done about this. So why would the death of my son cause such a roaring uprising that would change things forever? Emmett's body was found in the Tallahatchie River with the 95-pound cotton gin fan wrapped around his neck. They called his great uncle, Moses Wright, to identify the body. When he had gotten there, Emmett's body was so badly beaten that he was unrecognizable, that the only way they could identify him was with the ring with his father's initials. That very day, the police and a man named Mr. Rayner ordered an immediate burial. But just before they were about to put Emmett in the grave, I ordered them to stop the burial. He had no right to bury my son. They knew it would not be good for people to see what had happened. I rallied Chicago officials demanding the return of Emmett's body. If they honestly thought I was going to let them bury Emmett without my consent, they have lost their minds, because he is my responsibility. When his body was returned to me, they told me that the box could not be opened. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that I've spent all this money on trying to get Emmett's body, and I cannot even look at my own son's corpse? I said, Mr. Rayner, do you have a hammer? Because if you won't open this box, I will. He told me to go home, and he would call me when the box was opened. When I had gotten there and saw what Emmett looked like, as I saw his tongue was lying midway the cheek, I looked at the left side of his face, and I could see daylight on the other side. I looked at the right eye, and it was also lying midway the cheek. I looked at the left eye, and it was gone. I looked at the bridge of his nose, and it was like someone had chopped his nose in half. And lastly, I looked at his teeth, such precious things. Well, where are they? They've just been knocked out. Mr. Rayner asked me, are you going to open the casket? I said, oh yes, the casket will be opened. I have a responsibility to do. So let the whole world see what they have done to my son. We had the funeral a week later. Trying to get into the church was nearly impossible. Thousands of people gathered to see my son's corpse, and in disbelief, several fainted at the sight of his mangled body. Civil rights activists such as Medgar Evers, Dr. Martin Luther King, and Roy Wilkins spoke at his funeral saying, "We are not going to die like this. Instead, we are going to transform the South so that people won't have to die like this. The killers of my boy were arrested. Roy Bryant and J.W. Milam were arrested for the murder of Emmett. But trying to convict them was another catastrophe. Due to an all-white jury, they acquitted both men on killing my boy. But I said, and I am certain, that if my son had to die, I do not want his death to be a vain thing. But if it can further the cause of freedom, I will say that my son died a hero. In the January of 1956, Roy Bryant and J.W. Milam admitted to killing Emmett and then discarding his flesh into the Tallahatchie River to Look magazine for $2,000, but protected by the law of double jeopardy. No action or convictions could be taking place. A year later, I received a letter in the mail saying that because of Emmett's death, the Civil Rights Act of 1957 was established. And what this act did was allow the United States Department of Justice to investigate local matters and deaths, resulting in the end of the lynching era. Emmett's death sparked a revolution that had never been seen before in America, because for the very first time, legislation and laws regarding the oppression of the African American community were being challenged. For it was Medgar Evers who said, "We are moving forward. Progression is key." So maybe Emmett can rest peacefully, knowing he changed things for the better. Exactly 100 days later, after Emmett's death, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white man, resulting in the Montgomery bus boycott. But people often forget about my boy Emmett, for it was Rosa Parks who said in her own words, "I thought of Emmett Till, and I could not go back. I paid the same fare as others, and I just could not go back." In 2003, there would be no need for my heart because I'm not beating. There would be no need for my lungs because I'm not breathing. I'm dead. But as I look down from above, I can see that the FBI has reopened the Emmett Till case in 2005. But sadly, I was not alive to see it. Some people who helped have my boy killed back in '55 are still alive. And maybe Emmett could have gotten the justice he never got 50 years ago. But sadly, due to the lack of evidence, no actions or convictions could be taking place, and the case was closed. And I often wonder why God chose him. And it's funny how God says, "Love your enemies." But now I know, because he was chosen, and Emmett died so equal rights could live. Thank you.